Very much. First of all, I really have to say Alice put all of this together. Alice did all of the work. I'm simply presenting her talk, but as you know, she sadly wasn't able to make it to the SOMA conference. So this is going to be a little bit ropey as well, because she literally just gave me the slides. I know the project well, but she literally just gave me the slides. So have you got a secret? You've got a secret you'd like to share with anyone? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Now, secrets are incredibly common. Some of them are mundane, so maybe you know how to make a silk handkerchief disappear. Others are much more important. So you might have a secret about your health or something that will be quite difficult to be able to share with the public. Now, secrets play a very important role because they can have a very big impact on our mental health as well. So, for example, individuals who've got secrets that they don't want to reveal with others, they can attract quite a lot of attention and can lead to a lot of rumination and mind wandering. And even though secrets play an important role in who we are, there's been very little research that's actually tried to examine the nature of secrets, in particular the nature of actually sharing these secrets. Now, there has been some work, it's mostly kind of looking at sort of like the clinical aspect of this, or the impact of that sharing a secret. This is often kind of like a personal secret can have on the person who's actually holding that secret. But we know very little about the impact that sharing a secret with others has on how other people will perceive you and the impact that that then has more generally. There's one study, this is actually just published, this is actually just a master's study, and they looked at the impact that, or sort of like how people will perceive people who will share a secret. And in this study, participants are given different vignettes of someone who shared a personal secret compared to a non-personal secret. And what they found was that sharing a personal secret increased kind of like people's trust, it's a perception of trustworthiness with the person who shared the secret, as well as how close they felt to that individual. So, as I said, I didn't put the slides together. So, now sharing secrets, of course, is a big topic in magic, and magicians are notoriously averse towards revealing their secret methods. Indeed, if you join a magic society, you'll usually ask to swear an oath of secrecy, promising that you will never reveal the secrets of your magic tricks to the general public. Those magicians who engage in exposure can face expulsion or censor. Now, until I was sent the public letter of censor, I had no idea what censor actually meant. Out of interest, how many of you know what censor means? I'm glad I'm really not the only one. Censor is just a form of shaming, public shaming. So the rise of the internet and social media has really changed the ease by which secrets about magic can be accessed. Now, if you try and look up a magician or a magic trick, quite often, actually, the link that comes up first is exposing that secret rather than the performance itself. So kind of like the role of kind of like exposure and secrecy, it has really changed kind of like, especially with sort of like the rise of social media. Now, I became interested in a lot of this as a result of the Welcome exhibition that was all about the psychology of magic, and some magicians kind of like took offense to it in terms and sort of highlighted that because it included exposure about certain magic methods, that would then have a detrimental impact on sort of like people's perception of magic. In response to this, we ran quite a big study, a questionnaire-based study, an interview study on about 500 magicians. And what we actually found was that rather than having an adverse impact, talking about some of these secrets in magic actually increased people's appreciation for magic, their interest.
You said 500 magicians.
No, sorry, visitors to the exhibition. Increase their interest and the respect that individuals had for magicians and sort of like the magic arts more generally. It also increased people's interest in actually seeking out to go and watch magic. So rather than having a negative impact, actually kind of like talking about some of these principles may actually increase kind of like the magician's standing in society, but also leads to more work because people will be more willing to actually go and see magic. So we kind of wanted to look at this more experimentally, and particularly Alice had a keen interest, but also kind of like the way that magic is often used in other domains as well. So with Abracademy, this is a project kind of like were done through Abracademy. They use kind of like magic as a way of kind of like enhancing kind of like using as a team building, and we've used it sort of like to look at sort of like the increase in self-esteem as well. And a lot of these interventions do involve revealing kind of like really very small secrets about magic. So we were interested in looking at the impact that sharing a little secret about magic would have on sort of like the trustworthiness and the closeness of the magician, but also in terms of the impact that it would have on magic more generally, people's appreciation and interest in magic, and also willingness to seek out magic in the future. So our hypotheses was that in terms of the magicians, that it would, if sharing a secret about how a trick is done would increase people's closeness to the magician. It would also increase their interest and appreciation for magic and willingness to kind of like seek out magic in the future. That was our predictions. In terms of trustworthiness, we thought, well, if a magician is a blabbermouth, maybe that will kind of like make them kind of like less trustworthy. That was kind of like our predictions. But also we had ran a pilot study before, and based on some of that pilot work, we also felt that the way that people feel about it, so if you make people feel special about knowing this secret, that could act as a mediator for a lot of these effects. So this is what happened. We had Alex perform a silk handkerchief vanish. So what participants watched that vanish. Then half the participants were given instructions about how this was done, but they were also told that that they shouldn't share that secret with anyone else, that they were special because they were in this study, and therefore they shouldn't really share the secret with anyone else, whilst the other half were told other facts about the trick, about the creator, and other sort of like preliminary information. And then Alice measured them in terms of sort of used these different measures. How special receiving the information made them feel, their perceived trustworthiness, perceived closeness, and also the changes in people's appreciation for magic and how willing they would be to seek out magic in the future. Here are the results. So the dark blue bar, these are the participants who were told the secret. The light blue one are the ones who were just given other information. Now, as you can see, like in terms of trustworthiness, actually telling them how it was done, contrary to our prediction, increased people's trustworthiness in the magician, also how close they felt to the magician. In terms of the impact that it has on magic, if we look again here, we've got a significant increase in appreciation for the art of magic and a significant increase in the interest in magic. Interesting in terms of the respect for the magician, that significant was only numerical, but it wasn't actually significant. But it's, I mean, kind of like bird is a sort of a marginal difference. So in terms of kind of like magic as a general kind of like, it's actually got all kind of like positive effects. I think most interestingly here as well, in terms of would people engage and go out and watch more magic, again, kind of like a significant increase in participants' willingness to go and seek out to watch new magic compared to when they were just given kind of like factual information about the trick. But Alice then carried out a mediation analysis. I have no idea how this is really done. But what this shows is that actually all of these effects were driven by how special participants felt. And again, we kind of ran a previous study where we didn't, like, so in this study, Alex hyped up this idea that you mustn't show the secret to anyone else and that you are special for having been selected for this study. And actually that kind of like that feeling of being special seems to be mediating all of these effects that I've just mentioned. So what does this tell us? Well, magic offers a great way to try and understand the sharing of secret. Now, I think one of the reasons why there's very little research on sharing of secrets, because it's actually really difficult to study this in the lab. Like, for ethical reasons, it's quite hard for people to disclose their sort of like deeper inner secrets about themselves. And in a lot of other studies, if you just give them a sort of like some mundane information that they would then share, well, it's a very difficult context. So it's actually kind of like in the context of magic, this provides a great paradigm to try and study some of these effects. Now, what we found is that we got these positive effects kind of like as we predicted, but there's one big difference, like in terms of, if we look at it in terms of the trustworthiness, actually sharing the magic secret increased people's trustworthiness in the magician, contrary to our prediction. Now, it might be the case that people just generally don't trust magicians, so maybe that is actually quite low already, and that mitigates the impact. And indeed, I mean, it's important. This was the second study that we ran, so this sort of that the feeling of special is really important. I guess kind of like more generally, I think kind of like especially within this context, I think this has got really important implications in terms of this idea that we should never really expose a magic secret. Now, let me be really clear. My message here is don't go out and ruin magic by exposing how magic is done. Like, that's really not the message that I would like to prevail. But at the same time, I think kind of like this obsession about making sure that magic is all about secrecy, we should never reveal a secret, that is equally wrong. I mean, I think the thing that really matters in terms of the impact that exposing magic or anything has is what impact does it have on people's appreciation for magic. That's the thing that is actually really important. And I mean, I think what a lot of these results are now showing, our survey on the Welcome exhibition, combined with sort of like this experimental work, that actually just lifting the veil slightly can have a really positive impact. And indeed, if we look at like Penn and Teller, they're often seen as the bad boys in magic because they revealed some secrets. Actually, I think there's few magicians who've done as much for the art of magic as Penn and Teller. But it also kind of like allows us to then use magic as a way of studying this really important topic of sharing secrets. Now, this is the beginning of a research project that we're doing with Abracademy, and there's lots of other things that we would like to look at as well, kind of like the type of secrets that we can share, the type of skills that are involved, and also to kind of like the impact, the perceived difficulty that the trick has, as well as sort of like what impact that the enjoyment of the trick itself has on a lot of these effects. So the applause really goes to Alice, who's done all of this. I'm just a monkey presenting the data and sort of like the ideas to you. Thank you for your attention.